Hey everyone, in this video, I'm gonna share with you 3 sales tips for coaches who don't like sales. That's pretty much everyone that doesn't like sales. So the reason that most coaches don't like sales is because that's not why we get into this industry. Sales is a different muscle, and we're not creating a business so that we can sell products or push widgets. We get into this business so that we can help, so that we can serve people. And when we're taught that the way to be successful in coaching is to start selling like the salespeople and marketing like the marketers, that totally takes us out of our authentic self. That's one of the reasons why a lot of coaches either struggle and never create the business that they want, or if they create the success, they do it by pulling themselves away from who they actually are so that they can be like the salespeople or the marketers or all the other business vendors that they're learning from. In reality, the more closely you stay connected to your coaching skills and your coaching desires, the better salesperson you're going to be. Now, of course, very rarely do we see that being taught, because what we get bombarded with is, you suck at sales, so buy this program and get better at sales, or learn how to turn every single objection into a yes. Learn how to overcome every single obstacle. Come on. I almost said something profane. It irritates me so much to hear all of the messages that basically say, you're not good enough as you are, therefore you need to become more like somebody else. You need to get these skills that you don't currently have so that you can build a business like the people. This industry is about creating a business structured around you, around yourself. So we have to keep your unique skill set, your unique story, your desires in the middle of that business, and then build around you. And part of that is obviously going to be inviting people into your services or buying your products, but you've got to do it in the most authentic way possible. And almost all the sales techniques and sales systems out there are not built on authenticity, number one, but they're definitely not built around you. They're built on getting money out of people's wallets. That's why most coaches have this extreme fear towards sales. It's not that we fear inviting people into our programs and helping them change their life. It's that we fear the inauthentic behavior of trying to sell something to somebody. What I want to share with you in this video are 3 tips that will actually help keep you connected to yourself and hopefully change your experience of the entire idea of sales. Now, I publish new videos on this channel every single week. Now, the date that we publish them might vary a little bit, but I publish them every week. So if you want to get notified, subscribe, like, hit that little bell icon so you get all the notifications when we put up our videos. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Smith. I am the founder, I almost said co-founder. I am the founder, it's my own company, of Elite Coaching University. By the end of this video, I want to give you 3 simple sales techniques that actually keep you more rooted to your authenticity, and at least one of them, I guarantee, will help you build your business easier. So the first thing to understand is that when it comes to sales, it's not about the scripts or the words that you say or manipulating in any kind of way. It's really about the energy that you carry in your body when you conduct these conversations. So anything that keeps you more rooted and calm and present is better than the latest script or the NLP mind trick to get people to say yes when they don't really want to. And trust me, you don't want everybody to say yes to your coaching or to buying your products. I get irritated by a lot of the programs that say, I'm going to teach you how to turn every no into a yes and how to overcome all the objections. Do we really think that every single person is a good fit for you, is a good fit for coaching, that every single person should buy your products? I mean, it's ridiculous to even consider that concept. So my intention for this sales training and what my philosophy is when it comes to sales is help people get to a committed yes or a committed no by being real, by being authentic, and by putting something transparent on the table that they can decide either fits what they want in their life or doesn't. You should celebrate somebody saying hell no just as much as you should celebrate somebody saying hell yes. Sales tip number 1 is if you want to sell more, you have to serve more. And I know we talk about serving almost carelessly nowadays, but there really are two different energies that we can come from. We can come from the intellectual intention to sell, or we can come from the heart's intention to serve. Now, if you are a coach, you probably are more drawn towards service than you are toward selling. And one of the reasons that coaches have this visceral fear of sales sometimes is because most of us are coming from the space of personal gain when it comes to sales. What that means is you're thinking of what do you have to gain personally. You have a sale to make, you have money to make, you have statistics to uphold. Your ego likes the idea that you have the ability to win. But when you approach the sales conversation from a win-loss adversarial perspective like that, two things happen. Number one, you try to position yourself in an elevated manner over this person that you're talking about creating a coaching relationship with. That just doesn't make sense. But the second thing is, when you think of what you have to gain personally, you inherently tap into what you have to lose personally. And all of our intellectual fears are based on loss. They're based on the fear of rejection, which is a loss of approval or a loss of acceptance. They're based on the fear of embarrassment. They're based on the fear of losing money. They're based on the fear of wasting time. They're based on some kind of fear of losing something that we tend to think that is ours to possess. But service doesn't have an evil twin. Nobody has a fear of serving people. So if you really truly show up with the energy of service, that I'm going to offer you something that can tremendously shift your life if you say yes to it, and they say no, and your ego's not attached to it, you don't have personal attachment to the money or to the decision in any kind of way, then number one, you'll be cleaner when you make the offer. But number two, whatever they say won't destroy you emotionally. In other words, if they say yes, you're not going to get super elated, which is actually not healthy. And if they say no, you're not going to be emotionally devastated, which is obviously unhealthy. Either one of those highs or lows at an emotional level will make the whole process of sales traumatic. I mean, literally traumatic. It'll light up the fears that we have stored and stuck and trapped in our bodies. And that's all because we're trying to win in that situation. So when you show up with the full, embodied, pure essence of service, you honestly, literally, biologically, neurologically, and every other way cannot be afraid of the outcome. It's all self-induced pressure and self-created misery. And I would imagine that none of you started this business to just try to increase your closing percentage or your closing ratio. So when you focus on things like closing people and trying to get a 90% yes rate and those kinds of things, it's just going to tap you into a place that's not authentic for most of us, but also when you come from your intellect, you'll be speaking to their intellect. And people don't make life-changing decisions from their intellect, and they absolutely never stay committed to a decision based on intellect. We make the choices to change our lives based on our hearts. So if we want to be change agents as coaches, we need to speak from our hearts to their hearts and help them make the best decisions for themselves, not the best decisions for your bank account. Now, having said all of that, it is helpful for most people to have some sort of process to follow on your consultation calls or inside your discussions when you talk to people about coaching. I have a free consultation guide if you're interested in going deeper into the training of how to invite people into a coaching relationship with you while staying connected and present to your authenticity and making these clean, clear offers that I'm talking about. You can get it at coachshansmith.com/consultation guide. I'll link to it down in the description as well. Sales tip number 2. You must be sold yourself. Now there's 2 different angles that I want to talk about with this one. The first one is that you have to be sold on yourself. You have to be sold on your ability to help people. You have to be sold on whatever methodologies you have, whatever techniques, tools, exercises that you can actually guide somebody into the changes that you're talking to them about. If you aren't sold on your own abilities to guide them into some kind of a transformation, how can they be sold on your abilities to guide them into some kind of a transformation? Trust me, if they don't buy your certainty, they'll never buy your services. And you being sold on yourself is an energetic presence that can be felt by people. It's not an intellectual, measurable thing where you have these boxes you can just check off and go, okay, now I'm sold. They will feel it or not. It's just that simple. So if you have fears inside of you about how are they listening to this? Are they excited about this? Do they think I'm worth it? Do they think I'm confident? Do they think I can do this? And usually what's happening is we are projecting our own doubts onto them. So if those doubts live inside of our bodies and they live inside of our heads, it's impossible to block all of that energy from being projected onto the prospect. Now, you might have heard me say that your most valuable asset, your most valuable trait as a coach is your certainty. That's the kind of energy that will magnetically attract people to you. And I think that's the single most important piece to focus on, especially when you're relatively new in your business. But that's not what almost anybody's looking for. People are looking for marketing help. They're looking for ways to create more funnels. They're looking for ways to bring more business in. And yet if you're not sold on yourself, one of the worst things you can do is get visible with a bunch of marketing and attract people to an uncertain magnet. I have a video that goes quite a bit deeper into this concept of you creating more certainty and attracting the clients that you want. You can grab it by clicking that link there, or I'll also put it in the description below. Now, the second consideration to this is that if you're trying to sell coaching, you better have bought coaching. If you haven't bought coaching yourself, then it's going to be very difficult for you to sell coaching through yourself. In other words, if you don't have the body, if you don't have the presence, if you don't have the calmness to say yes to a coaching package, then you're not going to have the body and the presence and the calmness to offer a coaching package and invite other people to say yes in any kind of authentic way. All of those nerves are going to be projected onto the client. And whenever you're trying to sell, you're trying to offer packages that go beyond your own comfort level, the prospect is going to be able to feel it. So let me give you an example. Let's say that you have bought coaching, but you've only paid for $1,000 to get a private coach, and you're trying to sell $10,000 packages. For almost everybody, and certainly everybody that I've ever talked to, that distinction, that gap between what you've invested in and what you're trying to sell does not work for hardly anybody because you haven't said yes to 10,000. So it's going to be very difficult for you to invite a yes to 10,000. Now, it's not always an exact dollar match. It's more about your energy and your relationship to the offer that you're making. Sometimes that ceiling is determined by the exact dollar amount. Sometimes it's determined by the kind of program that you're selling. Sometimes it's just determined by the depth of coaching that you're trying to do. But the point is, if you haven't been on the buying side of the table and saying absolutely hell yes to this kind of offer, you're probably not going to be authentically present on the selling side of that table and inviting people to say hell yes to that same kind of offer. And the other piece is, I guess this is 2.5, I think it's actually fraudulent to sell coaching when you haven't bought coaching. Now, who cares about the judgment of whether it's fraudulent or anything like that? If you don't know what it's like to go through a coaching program as a client, you won't be the best kind of coach for the clients that you attract into your coaching program. So this is really about you delivering the most amount of value for your people. And if you don't deliver value with your coaching, your business very quickly will fall apart. Even if you attract a bunch of clients to you, but you don't give them a good experience, you're not going to get repeat customers, and you certainly won't get good referrals of other people coming into your business based on what your clients had to say, because you didn't give them this good experience. And honestly, this industry has a lot of vendors teaching simply how to make money as a coach, not even how to be a good coach or how to deliver a good coaching program. It's how to make money as a coach. And because there's so many people that are just searching for money, totally driven by ego, complete intellectual journeys, they're really struggling, because what it takes to succeed in this business is more about authenticity and heart and giving a damn and being passionate about what you do and the actual caring to change a human being's life, not to pull money out of their wallet. So the more that you're driven by how do I make money for my own reasons, and the less that you focus on how do I get good at changing people's lives, the less chance you have at building any kind of significant business that's going to be sustainable and last any amount of time. If I was really honest, I don't think people deserve to build successful businesses in the personal development industry unless they're really truly focused on and committed to developing people, themselves first and foremost, and then their clients. But whatever, I'm an old guy, I'm a dinosaur. I want it to be like life was way back then when we walked uphill both ways in our bare feet in the snow. But you know what? That's really the most important piece that I stayed connected to when I built my business from the very beginning, is I really was committed to helping people. And I know that sounds pie in the sky or woo-woo or whatever you want to call it, but I also know that as I've hit a bunch of rocky patches over the course of my business, well over 12 years now, the single most important thing that never has left me, even when social media platforms change, when society changes, when presidents change, when all these external surroundings become unstable, the most stable thing that I have, and my submission to you is the most stable thing you will have, is your give a damn ability. Your ability to tap in and say, I really truly care about developing people. And if you can stay rooted to that, you can weather any storm that comes along with building a business in this society of ours. Tell you what, this video is not going to be 6 minutes. Now, if you're interested in checking out our certification program that can help give you some of those skills to really fundamentally change humans' lives, I call this form of coaching neuro-transformational coaching. You can check out our program called Breakthrough Coaching Certification. It's all online, so you can go at your own pace. I'll link to it down in the description below. Or if you want to experience this kind of transformational coaching yourself, go to coachshansmith.com/try coaching. Sales tip number 3.
Throw up my life coach gang signs.
This is by far my most favorite concept in all of personal development. It's called high intention, low attachment. So what this means is we have to have a high intention on something that we are ultimately fully committed to creating. And that could be our purpose, that could be a certain kind of service that we want to build with our business and create some kind of impact in the world. It could be an experience that you have yourself. Whatever your highest intention is, that's what you need to stay fully attached and completely committed to. But then all the other details we have to have low attachment to. In other words, we can't be attached to the way that we pre-decide it's supposed to look. If we think that our first goal is to make 6 figures in our business and it's going to come through a certain kind of strategy, it's going to come by teaching a certain topic to certain kinds of people, and we stay committed to that strategy, I can virtually guarantee you it will never work out the way that you hope it's going to work out. And the more committed you are to the details of the path, the less likely you are to actually stay committed to your long-term intention. Think of it this way. If you're on a freeway and you know that you have to get to a certain place in a couple hours, but on the freeway there's this 50-car pileup, what are you probably going to do? Are you going to stay on this freeway because that's the road map that you originally committed to? Or are you going to look for a detour because you getting to your destination is actually more important than you staying on this particular freeway? Now, of course, almost everybody would say, yeah, I'd be looking for a detour. But in business, especially in this industry, most people are actually more committed to the path. And because they're more committed to the path, they're searching for a path that is guaranteed. People don't trust their abilities to pivot and find those detours, or they feel like they're a failure when they have to pivot because the way they decided it was going to work out didn't show up that way. It didn't, you experienced whatever failure you experienced. And when we beat ourselves up because of the failure, or we beat ourselves up because we're stupid, or we beat ourselves up because we didn't find the right path, all of that is actually increasing the personal pressure that we are putting on ourselves to build a business that requires creativity and commitment. Pressure does not increase the human brain's capacity to stay creative and committed. Only flexibility does that. So regardless of the way that you think your business is going to work out, regardless of the things that you think are going to be successful, once you get them in motion, you have to not be attached to the outcome. Now let's put this in a sales context. If you get on the phone with a single person, or you do a webinar with 50 people on it, or you go on stage and you've got a crowd of 100 people, and you have a goal that you've attached to, you're probably going to create so much pressure on yourself that you won't be authentic to your message, you won't be calm and clear and present in your body, and all of that energy is going to get projected onto your prospects. So them feeling that pressure and them feeling the lack of certainty that you have is probably going to decrease the connection that they feel with you, and therefore decrease their trust in you, and therefore decrease your sales. That's what commitment does when we're focused on details. The way to get over this is be committed to the things that you can control. Be committed to the way you deliver your material. Be committed to your preparation if that's important to you for this particular presentation. Be committed to you being authentic and transparent. And then whatever they decide to do is out of your hands. Now you can be committed to the intentions that you have of building your business and finding prospects that see your value and really want to work with you and buy your products and all that stuff, but just don't make them detailed commitments. So when you're on the phone with a single person, don't have a commitment that that person is going to say yes. You can have a commitment that people will say yes, and you can have a commitment that you're going to be as authentic and present as you can, but don't include that specific person and the details that are going on in their life and the decisions that they're going to make inside of your commitment that you don't control. So when you open up your commitment to include just your higher intention and what you can focus on, two things happen. You create a lot less pressure on yourself to perform, and this goes back to the idea that sales is about personal gain, and if you have something to gain, you have something to lose, which creates the pressure. But the second thing is you're actually going to increase your attractiveness to the prospects. They're going to be able to feel your rooted presence. They're going to feel your confidence. They're going to feel your certainty. They're not going to feel like you're chasing after them so that they'll say yes so that you can hit your sales numbers. And when you don't chase after them, they tend not to run. They actually are more likely to come after you when you're more rooted in your presence. And the other piece about this that's really important to understand is that when you have attachments to certain specific outcomes, you unconsciously create expectations that those outcomes are going to come true. Now, not only do those expectations increase the pressure, as I've mentioned, but if this person that you've expected to say yes says no, then you're going to have disappointment on your hands. And the more disappointment you create for yourself, the more resistance you will have to anything that has the ability to generate the disappointment. So the more resistance you'll have to sales if you experience disappointment in sales. So the way to get rid of the disappointment is to pull back the expectations. The way to do that is only focus on the things that you can control with high intention but low attachment to the details. So please let me know what you think. Drop a comment, like this video, share it with your tribe if you found this valuable. And I'd love to know which one of these 3 tips do you think is the most valuable, or if you have another sales tip to share with the crowd, please put that in the comments below as well. Check out my Breakthrough Coaching Certification Program if you're interested in increasing your certainty as a transformational coach. Go to coachshansmith.com/trycoaching if you want to actually experience what neurotransformational coaching is all about. And if you have any other topics that you want me to do other videos on, or you just have any questions about anything at all, please comment below. I do my best to either have myself or one of our team members address and respond to all the comments as fast as we can. So I can't wait to hear how these 3 sales tips support you building your business, and I'll see you in another video. I've only got 3 tips, which means this raw filming should take less than 5 hours. //